Welcome to another edition of Toronto Talk Sports and More. This is episode number 16, recorded on Wednesday, July 18th, 2018. It's your guy, Hez, joined here in studio by Milo. We've got Courtz on the line as well. Fellas, what's going on?
What's going on, Hez? What a day it's been in the world of sports today. How's it going?
Yeah, a lot going on, a lot happening.
They said this is supposed to be the slowest day in sports, and stuff has really picked up, so I'm sure we'll get into that.
Absolutely. So, guys, before we get into sports, obviously there's a lot to digest, a lot to discuss. I actually thought it would be pretty cool to give our audience a little insight into what's going on in our personal lives. Why don't we do that? So, specifically, guys, there's like about 6 weeks left in the summer. I mean, 9 if you want to be technical, but basically 6 weeks till September. What are you most looking forward to before the end of summer? How do you plan to end your summer 2018 with a bang?
Well, I am planning a trip. I haven't told you guys yet,
but you got a trip.
Big trip.
Tell us all about it.
I'll give you the initials, LV. Anybody want to hear? Las Vegas, baby.
What happens in Vegas?
That's it.
Stays in Vegas,
so I am planning
baby.
to go to Vegas for
When
a
are we
few
going
days.
to Vegas, buddy?
It should be actually soon. The August long weekend. I'm thinking about it. So
okay, right on.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. For just a weekend thing, or?
Yeah, just a weekend thing, few days. You know, you can't spend too much time in Vegas. I've been 3 times.
Yes.
3-4 days is good enough for might be shooting the hangover.
You were in
for
Vegas a few years ago. You met Mike Tyson.
I met Mike Tyson. I met Reggie Miller.
Jalen Rose.
Nice.
I think?
Yeah, Eric Spoelstra, Jalen Rose was there for a big fight. Yeah, that's right. So looking forward to that if I do end up going.
Awesome. All right, Las Vegas. What about you, Courtz? How do you plan to end your summer with a bang? What are you looking forward to?
Yep, same as Milo, August long weekend.
Are you going you're going to Las Vegas with me?
Wow. I won't be going to Vegas, but definitely be going somewhere. As to where, no idea yet, but we'll figure that out.
Plan something with the family?
Definitely.
Awesome. As for me, I'm actually looking forward to a wedding, an Indian wedding, actually. I love Indian wedding. I think I might see you there.
Yeah, we're going together. That's right.
One of our dear friends, Dr. Deems, who's also a contributor to the show here, TTS. He's been with his lovely lady for a few years, and very much looking forward to that special occasion. Just seeing the two of them, walk down the aisle and celebrate their special occasion. Very much looking forward to that. So that's how I plan to end my summer, and a nice big Indian wedding.
That's right. The second week of August.
Hope the food is good. apparently it's a dry wedding, from what we're told. So no alcohol. So I don't know. I haven't been to a dry wedding in quite a while. How does that work, Milo?
I haven't been to one in quite a while, but I'm sure we'll have some alcohol in the car somewhere.
Slip a little Mickey or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. Keep a flask on us or something.
Oh, man, crazy. Yeah. So, guys, just want to touch on one thing here. Pretty sad news in the sports world. Ray Emery, Hamilton-born, 14-year NHL vet. He passed away a few days ago of an apparent drowning. So definitely, his family and, his loved ones, his close friends, on behalf of the TTS family, our sincerest condolences there. Another news note, this is actually more in a positive. Since our last show, the 12 Thai soccer players and their coach, so they've all been successfully rescued. Today was actually their first official press conference discussing, the scary ordeal, this and that. Yep. So that's very good news, and we certainly wish them all the best as they continue to get back to normal. It'll be a bit of a process, but at least they were all rescued safely, and everything worked out well there.
Definitely. Great news.
Yeah, I definitely want to pray for a speedy recovery for them and their families, right?
Certainly. Absolute. So, guys, news, so we'll kind of discuss this here. We're actually releasing a special edition podcast on Thursday, July 19th, discussing the huge Raptors trade, the whole DeMar DeRozan, Kawhi Leonard. For this episode in particular, episode number 16, what we have on slate is basically we'll be discussing the World Cup. So we'll be discussing, obviously, the finals was this past Sunday, and there was a winner. I believe it's some French dude,
yeah.
Go French.
Claim the cup once again, so that was great. We're going to get into some NFL talk, guys. NFL is, a few weeks
50
away.
days away. 50 days away.
Exactly.
Court's got the exact number down, right?
That's right.
Man, I got a countdown going right here, baby.
Can't wait. So we'll definitely get to some NFL talk. And for our And More segment, we're actually very excited. We have a very talented visual artist joining us in studio for And More. So that's what we have on the slate today. So for this particular episode, this release, there won't be any basketball. You'll have to catch that on our special edition that will be released on Thursday, July the 19th, discussing the big trade. But let's get to this, guys. Once again, episode number 16, Toronto Talk Sports, and more.
Yes, folks, Milo back with you, and we are ready to talk some soccer, and more specifically, the 2018 FIFA World Cup. I am very excited to be joined once again by our TTS soccer insider, Mr. Nii Bruce Wallace, a.k.a. NWB. How are you, sir?
I'm great. It's a pleasure to be back here.
Absolutely. Good to hear, man. And but it's just not you and I, sir, today, but we are also excited to have Miss Jenita Fresca joining us in studio. She is a huge soccer fan and, sorry to say, Argentina fan. But regardless, it's great to have you here, Jenita. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Our pleasure, for sure. So let's get into it, guys. The 2018 FIFA World Cup wrapped up on Sunday with the finals taking place. It was one of the heavy favorites, France, taking on a surprise team of sorts, Croatia. France, and really no surprise, won the match 4-2 and were able to hoist the World Cup for the first time in 20 years, as they took it last in 1998. NWB, let me start with you, buddy. What were your thoughts on the game?
Well, Milo, for me, this game was a matchup between the best team of the group stages in Croatia, who were dominant, who had beaten Argentina.
Yeah, they played great.
You know, they really stamped their authority and put everyone on notice up against a team in France who were really the best team in the knockouts.
Right.
They were pretty clinical. They only fell behind for 9 minutes in the whole tournament, and that was in the round of 16 game against Argentina.
Right.
So it was an epic clash. And to have 6 goals in a World Cup final after having the last 3 finals go to extra time, I think it was great.
Yeah,
I think it was entertaining.
That was amazing. Janita, what were your thoughts on the game? Did you enjoy it?
I agree with him. I actually thought that it was actually a very unpredictable and I would say surprising type of World Cup. Very thrilling, very
Right.
very unpredictable. It was almost like watching a suspense story. Like you literally didn't know what was going to happen next.
It's like a show on Netflix or something.
Yes, totally. And just like the teams that were favorite to win, like, you know, who we're used to seeing, Germany, Argentina, Brazil, just sort of like, it was just sort of like a transitional thing. And I feel like a lot of upsets for people who are big soccer fans of those big shot teams.
Yeah.
So very surprising. Like I said, almost transitional. It was almost like the end of an era for some teams, and it was like time for these other new stars to be born and shine. Like, of course, we all know this World Cup is definitely the birth of Mbappe for sure.
Yeah.
If he wasn't recognized before, he's definitely known
He
now.
put himself on the map, that's for
Yeah,
sure. Exactly.
basically the only second teenager in the world to ever score in a FIFA World Cup final, which
Amazing.
the first one being Pele at 17 years old. So
Right.
that alone is definitely marks his legacy in that way for sure. So yeah, just definitely very surprising for me.
Perfect. All right, good stuff. Well, obviously, there was a lot of intrigue and drama, as you mentioned, in this year's tournament overall. Some are calling the greatest World Cup of all time. We had Ronaldo and Messi going out on the same day. Heavy favorite Brazil being knocked out, and an absolute thriller of a game between Croatia and Russia. NWB, what are a few things that stood out to you overall in the tournament?
I think to begin with, goals. This tournament had an average of 2.64 goals
A lot
per
of
game.
goals.
Yeah.
You know, some will say, "Oh, that's less than 2014," but you got to have a caveat with 2014 because that had the same final where Germany beat Brazil 7-1. So you take out that game,
Right.
and they're pretty much on par. So I think overall there were a lot of good things in the tournament.
Yeah.
We had a lot of goals being scored from the set piece, showcasing that skill. I think the VAR was a great thing. It highlighted fouls and things that would have gone unnoticed behind play. I know there was a bit of controversy in the final with a penalty being awarded through the VAR system, but without that system, that goes unnoticed, and you have the French being upset.
And that was this is the first year that they introduced this
Exactly.
VAR system, right?
And
Yeah.
I think it's here to stay. And I think the VAR put defenders on notice. There were only 4 red cards in the whole tournament.
Right.
And none of them were for violent conduct. So I think players are a bit better behaved. There were less fouls. There was only 1 goalless draw in the whole tournament. And that was a game between France and Denmark, which didn't mean anything.
Yeah,
I thought
it
it
was-
was beautiful.
yeah.
So I think there are a lot more ticks and a lot more positives in this tournament than negatives. Another positive is 45 goals in the knockout stage alone, which is
Amazing.
It's a record.
It
It's
just
a
adds
thing.
more excitement and more thrill for the fans, right?
Exactly. A couple of things that I think weren't as good. Seeing mainly European teams in the quarterfinal stage. Outside of Brazil, it was just European teams. And now,
So basically, it was almost like it turned into the Euro Cup during near the end. It was
That's
like the
right,
South
for sure.
American teams were getting picked off one by one by one.
Right.
So I mean, it was
Exactly.
crazy the way it was like a domino effect.
so you have to wonder if that's due to the financial muscle of the European leagues being able to transfer that wealth across the national team. But it will be good to see some different continents go deeper. Although to win a World Cup, you need a really good squad. And when you look at the French, they're able to leave some really good players at home, the likes of Benzema, Martial, Payet, Lacazette. Didier Deschamps put his foot down and said, no, I'm going to go with the guys that I know are going to win a World Cup, and it paid off in the end.
And also, too, they only do select 10 South American teams for the tournament that can qualify, I believe, anyways,
True.
right? So
Right.
it's, yeah.
All right.
So it'll be interesting when the World Cup expands to 48 teams. There is one thing I would also like to touch on, and that's the tiebreaker situation. You may
Okay.
remember
Oh,
in the group
yes.
stage when
Yeah.
Senegal was eliminated because they were tied with Japan on goal difference.
Right.
Yellow
Goals
card.
scored, wins.
It was like so many different
It was,
categories.
determined by a yellow
Yeah.
card,
It was
which
determined
was
by-
crazy. Because
Exactly.
It's like, wow.
was
what a
actually
way-
going for Senegal.
But
I
I guess
like
they
that
have
team.
to figure something out to do.
Yeah,
But
so it's a great point you raised,
Mm-hmm.
Jenita, because if I was going to change it, I would either go with shots on target, because then that would force teams to be more attacking,
More aggressive, yeah.
Because you had this farcical situation in that final phase where the Japanese are kicking the ball around for 4 or 5 minutes because they knew that the Senegalese were
Right.
going to go out.
Right. They were just killing time. pretty much.
Exactly. So you either do it tiebreaker based on shots on target, or you get the two teams that are tied to play in a penalty shootout. Now, Milo, you might say, hang on, well, one team's in Moscow, another team's in St. Petersburg. What you do is you get the two teams to go to the next day's venue, because there's always games
Right.
every day in the group stage, and then there's a rest day. So if it's the last day of the group stage, they can go to a neutral venue on the rest day, and then you have your penalty shootout, and then you
That
work
makes
it
sense.
out that way.
Yeah, yeah. You should be one of the directors for the
Right?
FIFA. Yeah, there we go.
did you notice also there's like a little curse? The last 3 teams who actually won the World Cup, then when they play again, they always get knocked out. I think in the
Early?
group stage.
That's right.
Is this like a curse or something? It
it's-
happened to Italy.
Yes.
It happened to
It happened to Spain.
Spain, and then
happened to
now with Germany. So-
It's France next.
So France are
It's
going to have
France
an early
next.
exit.
Perfect segue, guys, because the next World Cup.
a friend of
will
mine
take-
was telling me that.
Okay, yeah, the next World Cup is going to take place in Qatar in the summer of 2022. Now,
Oh, that's
it's actually
gonna
going
be
to be the
interesting.
summer over there, but it's going to be winter
Winter over here, like
That's
November,
right. So-
December.
So that's interesting. It will be the first World Cup held in an Arab country,
Yes.
and will also be the last World Cup to involve 32 teams.
Wow.
As that number will increase to 48 in 2026
Oh, wow.
when the World Cup comes to the Americas. We know a lot can change in 4 years, but Jenita, let me ask you: is there anything that you're looking forward to in the 2022 World Cup?
Well, it's going to be definitely interesting being in the winter season.
Yeah.
It's going to be
No patio life.
Yeah, exactly. Also, it's going to be interesting to be in that country where they have a lot of rules over there. Like,
Right.
from what I understand, men are not allowed to wear shorts. Women are not allowed to show their certain parts of their body.
Right.
There's no public drinking. Like, I guess it's an offense to be drunk in public or to drink
Didn't
in
they
public.
just say that women can start driving there now recently?
I'm not 100%
I believe that
sure,
was
but I
Saudi
know
Arabia.
that,
Saudi Arabia,
that's
okay.
definitely going to be a challenge for people
I
who
gotta
are
get my Arab
used
countries
to
aligned, I guess.
watching the World Cup.
Yeah.
You know, with certain set of circumstances.
Sure.
So that will make it totally interesting. Just it's going to be very interesting.
Okay. NWB?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm looking forward to being on a patio with a hot chocolate, watching the games in November 2022.
It's going to be
but
so different.
it will be a different vibe
Yeah.
for Northern Hemisphere, but that's the
But
way
you
it
never
is.
know. It might be enjoyable because think about the summer. We have so much other things going on
Yeah.
that like people actually have to make time to watch these tournaments sometimes where November, December, we have Christmas, but
Yeah.
there's not as much going on. So maybe
exactly.
we'll be able to be
Television
home taking in
ratings.
these
Yeah.
games more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
For
I
sure.
don't know.
I agree.
Well-
and I think one thing I'm looking forward to in 2022, Milo, to answer
Yeah,
your
go
question
ahead.
is the fact that we're going to see a lot of the kids from this tournament, or the younger players from Belgium, England, and France coming back. I know people talk about the Belgian golden.
England's up and coming too.
Exactly.
They're a very young rookie team that
Yeah.
actually like they're very well coached. So they fought really hard. They were very focused. So it was people were even surprised.
Yeah.
Because I think they took far. So they're definitely up and coming.
I think it's a ringing
They
endorsement.
kind of
for-
remind me of the Boston Celtics. I was telling him because it's like this young rookie team that kind of got far that wasn't expected
Right.
to go so
Yeah.
far.
Right.
Because so I think that they're definitely up and coming.
And that was the beauty of this tournament as well. We had a lot of upsets. You had the Koreans defeating the Germans. You had the the Japanese taking the Belgians all the way in the
Belgium
knockout
might have had their
rounds.
best World Cup. I think like once Germany was eliminated, it's almost like they got this monkey off their back and
Yep.
they were able to like persevere even further, I would
Yeah.
say.
So hopefully teams are going to play with less fear. You had at Croatia the team of a country of 4 million going to the final. That's going to give smaller nations
England
some
had a
hope.
lot of
So
confidence as well.
Yeah, England,
Yeah.
that was the team I was rooting for, but
Yeah,
they came
I
up
was
a bit short.
very shocked with them.
No problem. Well, that was awesome, guys. I really appreciate both of you.
What would you
being-
say was the most that stands out the most for you in the tournament? Like something.
I'd probably have to say Kylian Mbappe. I mean,
Yeah.
the guy's 19.
19 years old.
He's won a
That's
World
it.
Cup. He's donated all of his bonus and salary, by the way, from the tournament to charity at 19. And not just that, he scored goals in the knockout stage. And I think he's the next greatest of all time.
That's what I'm thinking.
Because Messi and Ronaldo, surprisingly, have never scored a goal in knockout football in the World Cup. 21
Wow.
hours.
And they
without a
both
goal.
missed penalties like that were pretty crucial.
Exactly.
I think.
Yeah, Messi early in the
But I
tournament.
think Argentina, they were like in danger even before. Like when you look at this tournament in hindsight, even before it started, it was already like, wow, Netherlands isn't in, Italy isn't
Right.
in. Who else didn't make it? The reigning champs of the Copa America, Chile.
Yeah,
Chile.
Like
the
there was
US, Ghana.
exactly.
I'm wearing the Ghana
You
shirt
know, so-
today.
Canada. What about Canada? Are we going to make
Well,
it? one day or
yeah.
what?
Hey,
But I'm
2026
saying,
we're
so even before the tournament started, that was like a message saying, wow, this is really going to be a transitional tournament. Like,
Right.
it's going to be so different. You're really not going to know what to expect because certain teams that are expected to always be there are not there. So
For sure.
from the start, it was already like, wow, I wonder what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It was a pleasant surprise. I mean, I don't think
Very
we
surprising.
knew what to expect going into Russia.
Couldn't
2018,
predict a
but
thing.
I think now I almost didn't want it to end when Sunday afternoon came around, but here we are.
I know.
Even
4 months.
social
Croatia
media-
did really well.
Social media helps too, right?
Yeah.
4 years ago, it wasn't as booming as it is now, so people are able to follow the games on Instagram and Facebook and all
So
that
it was
stuff, right?
the guy from Croatia who's the one, I guess he won the best player for the tournament.
Luka Modric.
Luka Modric. And then I guess obviously Mbappe, whatever. And then, so
Yeah.
he still got recognized for all the hard work that he did.
Yeah, Mbappe was a young player of the tournament, and I think the only way is up for him. He's going to be, it's his world. We're just living in it.
Well, I'm sure there's going to be plenty to discuss in the months ahead. NWB, this was your third time on the show, and it's always a pleasure, sir. Let our listeners know where they can find you on social media.
My Instagram is @TheRealNWB.
The real NWB. You're the real MVP when you come in and talk soccer.
That's right, and I got that prediction right in the end.
You did. I
France.
failed to mention that. You got 2 picks. Who'd you pick early? Germany?
Yeah, we won't talk about that.
Okay, no problem. Miss Jenita Fresca,
Yes.
you are going to be a regular TTS contributor, so we look forward to
for
having
sure.
you on once again.
Thank you
very
so much for
soon as
having
well.
me. This was really fun.
All right, thanks, guys. Toronto Talk Sports and more.
Hez back here, joined by Milo and Courtz. You guys down for some NFL talk?
Anytime.
Yeah, all the time.
Let's do it. So, guys, Terrell Owens, a.k.a. T.O., has angered a lot of people around the NFL, specifically those directly associated with the Pro Football Hall of Fame, by basically boycotting the Hall of Fame induction ceremony for the reason that he was basically bypassed by the voting committee the past 2 years. As we know, he got voted in this year, and he's decided to take a stance. So before we kind of discuss things from T.O.'s standpoint, just in terms of his decision, let's actually backtrack a bit. Should Terrell Owens, one of the top wide receivers in the history of the NFL, should he have been a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Well, in my opinion, T.O. is one of the top 5 wide receivers of all time. There's no doubt in my mind that he should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. But, of course, as we know with the voting committee for the Hall of Fame, we don't know what to expect with those guys sometimes. But I feel like he got snubbed. I feel that T.O. should have been in the Hall of Fame from first ballot. I really think that the NFL Hall of Fame voting committee did him wrong.
Okay, Milo?
Yeah, I kind of agree. I do think that he should have been in the Hall of Fame maybe a couple of years ago at least. But, I don't know if he's first. I mean, first ballot, absolutely, yeah. But, I mean, at the end of the day, there's other wide receivers like Randy Moss, Chris Carter, and those guys that got him before him. And well-deserved. But, yeah, I mean, he's in. Obviously, there's a big situation going on whether he should be in Canton to celebrate or whatnot. But that's T.O. for you, right?
Maybe he's too busy with the Edmonton Eskimos.
That's right.
So, guys, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, you said top 5 in this position. He's in a very exclusive club. 1,000 catches, 10,000 yards, 100 TDs. The only guys to do that, and they're all Hall of Famers, Jerry Rice, Chris Carter, Larry Fitzgerald, who's obviously still playing, Marvin Harrison, Tony Gonzalez, and Tim Brown are in that very exclusive club. He's the only player in the NFL history to have to average or to have 800 yards in receiving for 5 different teams. And obviously, overall, we all know that he's second in overall receiving yards, only behind Jerry Rice. So the numbers are there. I think what we understand, and this is pretty much consistent in most Hall of Fames, whether it's in the Basketball Hall of Fame, hockey, whatever. Certainly in baseball, if there's any kind of off-field, off-court, shenanigans, anything that has to do with things that you've done,
character issues.
Yeah, character issues. Yeah. You're not getting voted in first ballot. So that's pretty much the only reason. I don't think it was anything to do with obviously his play. His numbers certainly warrant it. But we know that T.O. is quite the character. He's continuing to still be consistent, do the things that he normally does. I think that's pretty much the reason why.
Yeah, well, for me, a lot's been made about the situation. My take on it is, as much as T.O. feels slighted by the Hall of Fame in terms of not getting in earlier, it would have made more sense for him to go and be with his fellow inductees and be enshrined the proper way. But this is classic T.O. He doesn't play the way you want him to play. He's always been a rebel and done the things his way. Right. Michael Irvin came out the other day and had some harsh words for him, and T.O.'s response was, "Who cares?" So
exactly, and that was my question. Basically, so what about the boycott? Let's discuss it in detail. Is it justified, or do you consider it a selfish, idiotic move by an annoying, pretentious, flamboyant prick that basically should appreciate being inducted into such an exclusive club? What do you say, Courtz?
Well, before I even answer that, let's just take a little step back now. If T.O., let's say if he was a first ballot Hall of Fame or even a second ballot, say if he got in on his second year of eligibility, I think we would have a completely different story here. I think T.O. would go to Canton and be enshrined the proper way. There'd be no hoo-ha about him not missing out.
Right.
But I think the fact that, yes, he was snubbed. I mean, everyone knows that T.O. should have been in the Hall of Fame from way before now. I think that because of that, I personally have no problem with T.O. saying, you know what, I'm not going to go to Canton. I'm not going to accept my award with these guys. I'm going to do this on my own terms.
You have no issue with it?
I have no problem with it.
Wow.
T.O., like we said, he has his character. He's a big character.
He's a rebel.
He is a rebel, and this is his decision. He's making decisions for himself now. He realized that the NFL did him wrong, so now he's doing what he has to do for himself. But I have no problem with that at all.
He has to live with it, whatever the case. But I don't personally have an issue with it. What I said earlier in terms of the NFL or the Pro Football Hall of Fame being such an exclusive club. There's only 315 or so players in there. Yeah, so it's very exclusive. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to be appreciative. One of the things that I think is a downside, because you listen to former Hall of Fame or guys who are in the Hall of Fame basically talk about it, that it's not just about you. It's about your family. It's about your teammates. It's about your coaches. Even going back to whether it's your high school coach or whatever, they all get to be a part of that entire process and actually join you during the ceremony. So you're taking away that opportunity from those people who helped you throughout your career to get to where you are. So it's not just about him. Right?
I don't know if you guys know this. Is there going to be anybody inducting him when he's at the University of Chattanooga there? In Tennessee?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. I know he's having his own private ceremony or whatnot.
Yeah, apparently he's doing his own little thing.
I know who should be inducting him, my brother, because he's a huge T.O. fan. Should have got him on this. My bro loves T.O.
But as I said earlier, it's really angered a lot of people, a lot of guys, Hall of Famers and just others around the league, media personalities and whatnot, that just look at it as a situation as, he's just, kind of whiny and pissy. And, was he snubbed? If you want to call it a snub, call it a snub. But we should all know by now how Hall of Fames generally work. So, if there are issues that relate to, your character and whatnot, you're not getting in the first ballot. It doesn't take anything away from the career that he had. Definitely the numbers justifying him being in there. And if you have to wait 2 years, even 3 years, whatever it is, to join, once again, such an exclusive club, is it really that big a deal? You take it, you make your speech, you join the brotherhood and whatnot. I think, if I was in his shoes, and it's hard to say, everybody's different, I would appreciate appreciate the opportunity, but I mean, T.O.'s T.O. He's going to do what he's going to do.
It's not really a huge surprise because he's always been the kind of guy that's kind of separated himself from everybody else, like his
that's right.
his quarterbacks and his teammates and whatnot. So for him not to be wanting to be joining these guys, going in with them into the Hall of Fame, it's not a huge surprise.
And from his standpoint, he says he's not just doing it for him; he's taking a stance for other guys who have been
for sure.
quote unquote snubbed, and
perhaps
future players who should get in on the first ballot just based on their numbers alone. So I do understand his reasoning. I don't necessarily agree with it. I don't necessarily think it's the biggest deal in the world either. But I mean, once again, it's an exclusive club. It's a great honor. You're taking away an opportunity once again from people who are within your tight circle, family and friends, to perhaps join you in that special
for sure.
occasion.
Courtz, I was just going to ask you, does your daughter have a take on the subject? Because it seems like she wants to say something.
Bring her on. So this is a family show, so
it is a family show. She's a big T.O. fan, just like her daddy.
Okay.
Beautiful. So, guys, all right, so let's move on from an annoying star wide receiver, and let's talk about an equally annoying running back who audaciously wants to get paid like a wide receiver, though obviously Steelers star running back Le'Veon Bell. So Le'Veon, of course, his agent, they're in the midst of this contract negotiation with the Steelers for, over a year now. The Steelers' latest offer, which appears to be the final one, was $70 million over 5 years. I believe last year they offered him $60 million, same term, 5 years. Both rejected. Once again, this guy, coming like he wants to get paid like a wide receiver.
Like a quarterback.
And the guys, it's crazy. This whole messy negotiation has really played out publicly. Le'Veon Bell, and let me just read this. This is what he basically posted Monday on his Twitter. To all my Steeler fans, my desire always has been to retire a Steeler. Both sides worked extremely hard to make that happen, but the NFL is a hard business at times. To the fans that had hope, I'm sorry to let you down, but trust me, 2018 will be my best season to date. Well, let's hope it is.
Milo, what's going on with your team, man? It sounds like a mess.
Guys, I've got a lot to say on the subject, boys, but not enough time, so I'm going to keep it short and
the
sweet.
Steelers are your team.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. The Steelers.
But before you go there, hold on. I just want to quickly release. This is the release from his agent. So his agent wrote this. His intention was to retire as a Steeler, but now there's no deal. The practical reality is this now likely will be Le'Veon's last season as a Steeler.
Right.
Wow, yeah.
So I will just say this. The Steelers saved themselves when Le'Veon Bell decided not to sign that reported 5-year, $70 million deal. It's just not worth it in the long run to cripple your franchise, your salary cap, and your ability to lock up pieces around them that are ultimately going to help you contend every year. Listen, I think Bell, he's a top 5 talent in the NFL. Let's face it, though, as much as he doesn't want to be considered a running back, that's what he is. Every time he touches the football, he's at risk of more risk than anyone else in getting injured.
That's one of the most injured positions in
Absolutely.
football.
He's had 2 season-ending ACL surgeries. He also had some character issues, suspended for marijuana. He spoke up last season about his contract.
Well, he's not the only Steeler with character issues.
No.
That's another story.
That's for sure.
That's on the past with Ben. But what bothered me last year was he spoke up about his contract 2-3 days before they were going to play Jacksonville in the playoffs.
Yes.
I mean, what makes you want to talk about your contract right before the biggest game of your season?
Yeah.
It baffles me, that a player like him would get baited by a reporter to talk about that at this point. So, to me, I would have offered him maybe 12, 13 million a season and left it at that. If he wants to walk next season, I think we'll be fine.
What do you think, Courtz?
Well, what I think is, I know my Eagles would definitely value from a running back like him. Stay in Pennsylvania, baby.
Oh,
but definitely, if he was saying he wants to be a Steeler for life, I mean, surely him and his agent had ample opportunities to get a deal done. But it just seems that he's just way out of his league. I mean, I don't know how much money this guy actually wants. I don't know if he wants, $100 million for 5 years. Man. But it seems like the offers that the Steelers have been offering him have been more than reasonable. But he's just playing hardball, and from an organizational standpoint, it might be better to get him off of your team. Even though he provides such great talent, he's a top 2 running back in the league. But it just might not be worth it to keep that guy on your team.
I mean, generally speaking, don't safeties and kickers, don't they usually get paid even more than running backs? I mean, as you said, it's a position where, very high risk. And even the way that he specifically plays with his movement and whatnot and the injuries that he's had, very, very risky. Because, if something was to happen, mean, let's, knock on wood, this coming season, he could really be, putting himself in a very difficult position moving forward financially. I feel if he really loves the organization, he wants to retire a Steeler, I think personally it's a fair offer. I would take the deal. What is it again? $70 million for 5 years.
It's $14 million a year, but $30 million for the first 2 years. I think it's just selfish. He was looking out for himself, which he has every right to, but he's not serious about winning. But you look at guys like Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger, they take less money. Kevin Durant, even the NBA, take less money to help their teammates, get a little bit more so they can succeed and win. So to me, he's just being selfish. He wants the.
So would you say for sure this is his last year? Do you think there's any possibility that they kind of come to terms and work this out?
They might come up with a number next year in the offseason, but I don't see it happening.
Do you think the Steelers will budge and they'll kind of?
No. Unless he has a huge breakout year, that's all.
And he's what, 27?
26 right now.
Yeah, he's still young.
He's still young.
Yeah.
Certainly. So, guys, we'll definitely follow this story close. As you mentioned from the top courts, today, 50 days till the NFL season opener. Can't wait. We'll certainly follow and see what happens. Thanks a lot for your input, guys. Toronto Talk Sports and more. All right, welcome back to another edition of And More on Toronto Talk Sports and More, episode number 16. Zion Hezekiah here, joined by my lovely co-host, Steph Dilletto.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So today, we are very pleased to welcome Melissa Isaakov, who is a super talented Toronto-based visual artist who completed her studies at York University, George Brown College, and Seneca College. Her studies focused on psychology, art foundations, and graphic design. Currently, Melissa works as a full-time artist focused on custom graphic style acrylic paintings. She's also done some artwork for some professional athletes. Looking forward to hear more about that. It's a great pleasure to have you on. Welcome to the studio, Melissa.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. Awesome. So that's a lot of schooling, Melissa. Tell us a little bit about your educational background first, and kind of maybe how that prepared you for your career as an artist.
It is. So I've always loved art as a kid, especially drawing and painting. As I grew up, I developed an interest in graphic design, and I became a self-taught freelance graphic designer throughout high school and university. After completing my bachelor's degree in psychology, I took art foundations at George Brown and graphic design at Seneca.
Okay.
And eventually I just decided to combine the two and started painting my graphic designs. And that's what I've been doing ever since.
Beautiful. And you're very talented, as I mentioned.
Thank
Your
you.
work
Thank you
is
so much.
really, really nice.
That's awesome because education is key. But why don't you take us back before post-secondary studies? When did you know you had a gift for art? When did that really become your passion?
You know what? As a kid, I was always drawing, always painting, always doing arts and crafts, always dragging my parents to the arts and crafts aisle of every store. And my parents have big portfolios of just art and paintings and drawings. But when it came to my actual education, they kind of encouraged me to take a different route. Weren't super supportive of taking art professionally, but it started when I was a kid. I just loved it. It was just something that came naturally to me.
Amazing.
That's
really
awesome.
Good. So talk to us about your art, Melissa, and let's get specific. What do you specialize in? And earlier in the show, I did mention that you've done some work for some professional athletes.
Yes.
So don't be shy to name drop.
No, for sure. So my work is actually owned by Norman Powell of the Toronto Raptors. Dalton Pompey also reached out to me to get his brother Tristan Pompey's Miami Marlins draft gift.
Awesome.
So that was super awesome. I also made Dead Mouse's wedding gift. I mean, he's not an athlete, but he's an international
he's
DJ.
Very well known.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so the order was actually made by his close friend for his wedding gift.
Okay.
So
When was that?
That was awesome. That was about a year ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. All right. And talk to us about the paintings themselves, like your art. So tell us specifically what kind of portraits you do.
So most of my art is custom order. They're usually portraits. Actually, I recently just completed a piece for Aaron Sanchez of the Toronto Raptors. Wow. His wife actually ordered...
Of the Blue Jays?
Yeah.
Right. Oh,
sorry, of
yes.
Blue Jays.
Right, I know where it's
Toronto Blue Jays.
Toronto Blue Jays, yeah, that's right.
So his wife actually ordered a a picture of him and his newborn son
that's
for
amazing.
Father's Day. So
That's
I did this
cute.
Father's Day gift. That was super
Okay.
awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and
company.
currently I'm working on a piece for Chris Joseph. He used to play for the Celtics, the Nets, and now the Niagara River Lions.
That
So
is
I'm actually
correct,
doing a
yes.
piece of him and his brother, a game that they were playing against each other back in college.
Okay.
Wow,
Good
with-
company.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
a lot
awesome.
of portraits. like,
Yeah,
family,
and your
family
work,
stuff.
like if anybody goes online, your work is dope. It's really, really authentic. It's original. Like personally, I haven't seen much of it, but I'm not like an art enthusiast by
Okay.
any means.
I
But,
love art.
Thank you so
my
much.
question for you would be, if you were to choose one athlete that like you're just dying to do a portrait for, to reach out to you and kind of draw them or paint them, who would it be?
Don't
and
say
why?
LeBron.
You know what? I actually already painted a portrait of LeBron.
Yes,
so
I
if
did see
he's
that.
listening, he
That's-
can come and
hey.
pick that up right now. Honestly,
Lakers.
I don't really have anyone specific in mind. Right now, my aim is to kind of get my name and my work out there. So I really appreciate anyone that has like a large network that's interested in my art. That's super flattering for me and would definitely help get my work out there.
For sure.
Just curious, any other artists in your family? Is this something that was passed down? Maybe parents, any siblings that have the
Honestly,
gift? Or are you
no.
the
This-
only one?
Yeah, because I'm sure a lot of people listening can relate to this. The immigrant mentality is you got to pursue education in terms of medicine or
Got to be a lawyer or a doctor.
Something smart.
Exactly,
as they would say.
Exactly. Something that provides financial security.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
stability,
defense.
something
Exactly.
stable,
So
yeah,
like that's
right.
what my parents wanted for me. It's just like that's kind of, and I understand that it provides security in life, but I took a risk. And so I'm just hoping for the best and just trying to grind and work my way to the top.
That's
For
amazing.
sure.
And you've been doing your thing for how long now? professionally?
It's been about coming close to 2 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right.
Yeah.
You're on the grind. Love it. Love it. Beautiful.
you.
So listen, it's time for some TTS and more fun. We're going to play a game. You like games?
I love games.
Be careful what you ask for. So question, do you watch the Ellen DeGeneres show?
I used to, like, religiously, but not recently.
Okay, so she has this really fun show that she often plays with her guests. It's called 5 Second Rule. Are you familiar with it?
I'm not.
Okay, so we're going to do it a little bit different. And basically, the premise is real simple. I'm going to give 3 topics or 3 things, but you basically have 5 seconds to answer those 3 different topics. So
Okay.
give 3 different topics, right? So we're going to call it actually TTS 5 Second Rule. Some of the questions are designed, for our audience, get to know you a little bit better, get to know the other side of Melissa. And some of the questions are just flat out designed to embarrass your ass.
Great.
That's kidding. But are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, so you're going to give us 3 answers within 5 seconds. We've got 7 questions. Let's get to it. Question number 1. Name 3 of your favorite beverages.
Arizona iced tea, Diet Coke, and vodka.
All right, love vodka. You do have some Russian in you, right? Vodka. Number 2. Name your favorite places in Toronto.
My favorite places in Toronto,
5
Graffiti
seconds.
Alley, Urban Herbivore. I lost.
Number 3. Remember, really quick, rapid fire.
Okay.
Name 3 things on your bucket list.
3 things on my bucket list.
Name 1 thing on your bucket list.
1 thing on my bucket list.
Something that you've always just wanted to do. I know the 5 seconds
man,
are up, but
I'm
give us
so bad at this
give us
game.
something. Anything that you've always just kind of desired. Maybe a country that you've always wanted to visit, a destination or whatnot.
I've always wanted to go skydiving.
Okay,
Boom.
all right.
That
So we
took
got
me a
one
while
thing.
to
We
think
got
about.
one
Yeah,
thing.
I do
All
not
right.
have
I don't
courage
work
for
well
that.
under pressure.
Hey, no worries at all.
Clearly.
We're having fun. That's what it's all about. So we got 4 more,
Okay.
and it gets trickier. It gets
Let's do
harder
it,
as we
let's
go
do
on. Dun, 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 dun. Name 3 green foods.
Oh, celery, cucumbers, kale.
Good. Awesome. Good stuff. You're good. Awesome. Name 3 artists that inspire you.
Ooh. Artists that inspire me.
3 seconds. 2 seconds. 1 second.
I honestly don't have a lot of artists that are doing what I do that inspire me. I take
Okay,
my
right on.
inspiration from the actual people that I am
That's
painting.
amazing, for sure.
So yeah.
Fair
Definitely.
enough.
Beautiful. Good stuff. 2 more. Name 3 former Toronto Mirrors.
Oh God.
Now we're putting you on the hot seat. And in 5 seconds, too.
Tom Ford.
You got the last name, right?
Oh no, Rob Ford. Oh God.
Although, like, Tom Ford, if you can afford his stuff, I'm all for
Guys,
it.
You
this
think
is
of,
like the
can you
worst
think of
that's
another one?
Yeah.
Who was the mayor before Rob
God,
Ford?
what's the short Jewish guy's name?
Mel
Lassman.
Mel Lassman. Yep.
And I should be looking around at people for help. I don't know why.
There was David Miller.
I don't know any
David
of them
Miller.
before Mel
Barbara
Lassman.
Hall as well. I think she
God.
was the first female mayor. But you got 2 of them.
That's okay. I
Outside
wouldn't
of
have
the 5
gotten them
seconds,
either.
but
It's
we'll give it to
okay.
you anyways.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
And lastly, number 7, and let's see if we can do this one within the 5 seconds, the allotted time. Name 3 things that make you laugh.
my sister, my boyfriend,
Aw.
and my dog Neo.
Awesome.
There we go. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Melissa. So for all the listeners out there, Melissa is doing a little bit of a giveaway / promo. So if you buy any of Melissa's paintings or you inquire to her about buying a painting and you mention TTS, Toronto Talk Sports, she's going to give you 20% off your painting of choice.
That is awesome.
Like she said, she does portraits, she does, you know, newborns, wedding gifts, anything of that
You
sort.
name it.
And really check her out. Her stuff is very, very dope. So, Melissa, where can the listeners find you?
So you can follow me on Instagram at Melissa Isaakov. That's MELISSAISAAKOV. And you can also check out my website at www.melissaisaakov.com, and you can send me an email through there or melissaisaakov@gmail.com.
But she did mention in the questions that she does have a boyfriend, so don't be sliding into those DMs. He is 6'4". He will bust you.
Yes, art inquiries only, please.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciated it. And again, you can find her at www.melissaisaakov.com, which is MELISSAISAAKOV.com.
And we'll put it up online on our website, social media, all that good stuff.
Thank you so
For
much
sure.
for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. This is Toronto Talk Sports and more.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Toronto Talk Sports and More. We want to thank all of our guests for joining us today. Soccer insider Nii Wallace-Bruce, a.k.a. NWB, Jenita Fresca, and our and more guest, custom painting artist Melissa Isaakov. It certainly was a treat having all of you on the show. Please note that our next podcast, episode number 17, will be available on Wednesday, July the 25th on all of our platforms. Also, please remember to check us out online at www.torontotalksports.com, and please remember to subscribe to our podcast for free on Google Play Music or iTunes by searching Toronto Talk Sports. Also, don't be shy and feel free to follow us on social media, Instagram and Facebook, Toronto Talk Sports, and Twitter, TO Talk Sports. Toronto Talk Sports and more. For the love of the six, let's connect.
Thank you for tuning into Toronto Talk Sports and more. Please subscribe to our podcast via Apple iTunes or Google Play Store. And stay tuned for new episodes, prizes, and surprises at torontotalksports.com.